and welcome to our 6th episode of 30, Wordy, and Friendship. My name is Alia Bogdanoff, and I have a special guest here today. Whitney is on vacation, and I miss her dearly. But I have one of the best first guests that we could possibly have, my husband, Voss Bogdanoff. Say hi.
Hi. I got really talked up there.
Well,
I will try to replace you well, even though I'm pretty sure I'm not quite the same.
You're not the same at all.
At all.
It's actually been quite of an interesting process because when Whitney and I talked about her being out of town, we talked about potential of missing a week, and we didn't want our listeners to have to wait a couple weeks for our next episode. So I said, hey, why not have Voss on? And I just thought that would be so easy. I mean, he's my husband, right?
Right. I was voluntold
to do this. And I kind of forced you.
You pretty much, not forced. I mean, I came.
Slightly manipulated you. But,
yeah, sure. But you know what? I'm happy to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad.
I've been really excited to hear what you girls have been doing. You guys have a great chemistry, and the topics you guys have talked about have been spot on. And you're really fun to listen to.
Oh, thank you. You have to listen to me all the time.
I do, because you always want to hear back and how you guys sounded and give my critique. And there's not much critique. You guys are really good at what you're doing. Aww. And just be natural with it. And yeah, I'm happy to be here, even though I'm pretty nervous and it took a lot of convincing to get me to this place. But I'm here now.
We've had about 4 major talks about our topic, which Whitney and I usually spend about 10 minutes talking. But you and I have spent a good 5 or 6 hours divulging. But you know what? This is a big topic. We're going to touch on the topic of marriage. And I think for us, we really wanted to make sure we hit a topic that wasn't too general, but that has really helped us in our marriage, something that has helped us grow a lot, something that we constantly...
try to improve on.
Yeah, try to improve on all the time. And I don't think it's a common topic. So today, we're going to talk about kindness in marriage. Which may seem like not that big of a deal, but I would say it's one of the biggest deals.
I've been trying to be very kind the last couple of days.
No, you've actually been a little on edge, and I could be like, hey, why are you being so mean to me?
Hey.
No, but
that's true.
I think it's just a little bit exaggerated because we're going to talk about it, so we're already thinking about kindness and
that's true.
Whether we're being kind. So the first topic that we want to cover is kindness in communication. We've been thinking a lot about what it means to talk to each other in a kind way, and
that sounds so academic.
It does.
Communication.
It does.
Meaning when you talk to each other,
right,
and interact with one another, how does that really look?
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you first then.
Okay, go ask.
All right, what does kindness in marriage and in communication mean to you?
Well, I think at first it really just means taking a step back and not allowing my emotions to rule the conversation. And really coming from a place that I really love you and I want the best for you. And kindness has a way of just breaking down the barriers. I know when I am not kind and we have communication, talks, conversations, it never goes well. The other person's put on defense. They are, feeling threatened even, and they shut down. And that's not the point. The point of having the conversation is so that we can have a resolution. Yeah. And you want the benefit of the other person as much as for yourself. And so for me, kindness means just taking a step back, taking a breather, and trying to approach a topic in a way that is non-threatening and that doesn't cause the other person at any point to think, oh, this person doesn't like me, doesn't love me, doesn't really have my best interests at heart. Yeah. But really putting that foot forward where you're like, hey, I care about you, I want the best for you, and whatever the topic might be, something that's maybe really important to me or something that needs to be addressed or something that I see in you that I want you to improve upon, which is really hard. Yeah. That's a tough one to get across sometimes, is how to help you with things that I see, because I think you're perfect most of the times. And also, it's just hard to give you critique sometimes. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. Just giving. It's just about delivery. Really, is what it comes down to. It's the topics might be very relevant, but how to deliver them properly.
Well, and how to get your intent with the delivery. Because I think what happens most of the time is that the other person says something and your brain just goes straight to, they must think I'm inadequate. They must think I'm not enough. They must think I'm failing. And there's all these words that come to our mind when the other person is unhappy with us or when they're upset.
And it's a real struggle. I mean, I would say probably 50% of the time we do a pretty decent job. But there's plenty of times when it's like you come in the room or I come in the room with just say something, and just like drop the bomb on the person and then walk out, or expect them just to react in a positive fashion. It just doesn't happen.
Well, I would say something that we did really well early on, which I'm going to bring up, is that before we got married, we decided to have kind of like a code of conduct when it came to the way we talk to each other and communication.
I think that really helped. It kind of gave us a framework to build off of.
Right. So we started with what? No name calling.
No name calling.
So I can't be mad at you and say, like, you're being a jerk right now.
You have said that before.
Okay, like
You've
twice in our entire marriage. No, I haven't. Very few. I'll say very few. It's not a common thing for us.
No, it's not.
It's really not. And I know sometimes I want to a lot of times say something, but I remember that in my head, like, you know what? I'm not allowed to say these mean things, because all it does is escalate and hurt, and then you lose all forms of communication.
Well, yeah. I mean, it feels good in the moment to put the other person down and say something that's going to really, hurt them or set them back, because it gives you the power in that moment. But it doesn't help resolve whatever you're trying to work through at that moment.
Exactly.
It just puts the other person in a place where they're put out. They don't want to. It shuts them down. They don't want to talk anymore.
Yeah.
And and again, going back to kindness, is what's the point of doing it? What's the point of even having communication? Is it just for yourself? Are you trying to just make yourself feel good by putting the other person in a position of less power than you? Or are you trying to get to a place where you can now both be in a better place?
Yeah.
So,
what about, can you explain weaponizing? Because you're much better at explaining weaponizing than I am.
Weaponizing, that's a fun one. So, I think we really early on also recognize this, is that when we're having conversations, especially when we're having heated conversations, and it's getting to the point, it's getting intense, and you're really trying to get one up over the other person.
Yeah.
You're trying to catch them in a place where they now are forced to, start to agree with you or whatnot. And it's realizing that there's topics that we both have that are incredibly sensitive.
Right.
And it's so easy to utilize them, because it really, sometimes fights in a marriage, it's like a little mini war. I mean, it's a battle, and you're getting strategic, like, okay, what can I do? What can I say to get them on my side, or to get them to agree with me, or to submit to my idea, And the reality is that there are buttons everybody has. There's push button issues that, if I say this, it's gonna hurt them.
And it usually sounds like,
well, your mom.
It always is your mom.
Your mom. Your mom taught you this, or you do this because
you were raised like this, and now that's why you're treating me this way.
Exactly.
So trying to take something that is really nothing they can control, a fact that they can't control, and then use it against them, right?
And it can even be something that they have as a weakness, and maybe it's a recognized weakness, like, this is something that I struggle with, and now it's not fair to bring that up as a. Again, it's really about taking power from the other person.
That information should only be used to heal the other person.
Right.
To help them confront something inside of themselves that's painful as an ally, but never in a heated discussion. Right. Because all that does is I feel like it makes that topic unsafe. Like, now that topic is hurtful because now my partner has taken that topic and used it to injure me.
Yeah.
And so now I'm never going to open up about that topic again.
Well, at least it'll be very difficult, because now you're going to be very cautious. You're going to, you're going to have to be, you're going to have to, like, watch your step around the person that you love the most and you have the most intimacy with. And you're just like, that's not cool. And that's really not building up a marriage, which, end of the day, I mean, it's, we got married because we love each other, and we want to be around each other. We love talking to each other. We want to build each other. We want to see each other become the best version of themselves.
Right.
And that's the goal. And so, what's the point in attacking the person and bringing them down just to make yourself feel good?
Yeah.
And these are things we talked about really early on.
Like before we were married. I think
Oh, yeah.
those particular, now, okay, I want to say year 2, we brought in take-backs. Do you remember take-backs?
Oh, yeah, take-backs.
Take-backs are my favorite, because
They're the best.
sometimes we realized, like, first year 1, our fights
I
were
used
not...
them last night. It was great.
You did?
Yeah. I went on a rant. I don't know what the heck I was thinking. I started saying stuff that I realized,
Whoa.
I went way
you
too
were
far.
upset, and I... So take-backs, what
You
that
ended
is...
up in my crosshairs. You did not need to be there. I'm so sorry.
So what take-backs are is that they are the ability to take back what you just said. So, like, last night, Voss and I were talking, and you decided to confront me in the middle of a conversation about something. You always do this, and you do this, and then you do this, and I was so caught off guard. And I think my response was, wow, are you going to take this moment to berate me about my behavior?
Right.
And then there was, like, silence, and you were like, well, can I take that back? Like, do you mind if I just take... I'm realizing...
You didn't want to give it back to me yesterday.
No, I didn't. The injury was already done.
Yeah.
And so you were like, I would like to take it back. I would like to act as if it's never happened. And no, but I'll say this. So I did get hurt, and I did shed some tears, mostly about other things, but I was already feeling pretty sensitive yesterday.
I pushed you over the edge.
You were the last shove.
Yeah.
But I think what the take back does is there is a form of regret that I saw in you, in the realizing that, yeah, you're right. What I'm saying may be true, but if this is not a good time and this is not a good method to talk to you about this.
Horrible delivery.
And so what it allows the other person to do is it allows them to forgive you really quickly.
Yeah.
So we do this especially when
What
we walk in.
What do you think the time limit is on a take back? 30
It has
seconds?
to happen.
1 minute? It has to be in the moment. It has to be in the moment.
No, we have, though, if you think about it, do you remember when we started this in the very beginning?
Uh-huh.
We have been, like, in a full-on battle where words are going back and forth and it's getting heated, and then one of us just says, and you know what? I would like to pretend like this never happened. Actually, I'd like to go back to the first time I brought this up and take it back, because I'm realizing 10 minutes into this argument that I'm wrong. Do you remember the I'm wrong? I am wrong, and I should have never said that, and now I would like to apologize, but I can't slow the intensity down.
It's a crazy train, because you start going down that road, and you're just like, and then you start building on top of it, and then you realize you said something you shouldn't quite said, but then you're like, well, I'm not going to back off now. And I can throw this in here now that we're talking about it. And yeah,
it diffuses, though.
It does.
Diffuses
the
everything.
take back is awesome.
Yeah.
Both parties have to agree to it, though. I mean, you have to both be willing to actually use the take back
and allow
the
it.
take back.
Yeah.
And there's been plenty of times where you're like, no, I really don't want to give you that take back right now. And there's times when I've been like, no, I think I'm going to hang on to this a little longer.
Yeah.
Because
and give you
I'm really
permission to
upset.
do it. Yeah.
And I want to process this, and that's okay too. I think ultimately, just having it there as a tool that we utilize has been very helpful, and we haven't always used it very well. And there's been plenty of times where I wish we would have actually said take back.
Yeah.
And it would have avoided a lot of hurt. So yeah,
But
it's a fun one.
I think the point is, though, I want to just clarify. Kindness in marriage and kindness in communication has nothing to do with smiling through things.
No.
It has nothing to do with just pretending like everything's okay. It has nothing to do with avoiding confrontation, which we're going to talk about a little later.
No,
it has nothing to do with just being like, honey, would you mind? Which I hate that tone. I don't take that with you.
You really don't. I wish you would sometimes.
Stop it. It has nothing to do with just the sweet, you don't have a voice, you don't get to share your feelings. No, kindness has so much more to do with the intent of why you're talking about what you're talking about. And it has a lot to do with the aspects of what you're communicating.
Well, and kindness, I would say also, the reason why kindness is not avoidance is because it's not kind to the other person when there's an issue and you're avoiding them or avoiding the issue and you're not communicating, because that puts the other person in a position to where they are not they're not aware sometimes. They're not aware of how they're affecting you. They're not aware of what they're doing, if it's even wrong. And so coming to the other person in kindness and addressing it, sometimes you do have to even exhort the other person and meaning to confront them in a way that's like, hey, what you're doing here hurts, or it's wrong, or you're doing this to this other person and it's not right. Or sometimes asserting like, hey, I have this need I need you to step up,
Yeah.
right? But there's a way you could deliver that message without hurting the other person, without pushing them away, and without trying to take their power away from them, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's the whole point. It's approaching a subject, a topic, with humility, with a spirit of servitude, that you're here to serve the other person, and also that you love them and you want the best for them.
And that, I think, is the key, is really coming to the conversation with realizing, like, I'm not here to tear you down. I'm not here to, okay, so I'm just going to divulge for a little bit.
Go for it.
So where I struggle, I was thinking about this. I usually come to the conversation like I'm trying to catch you in something, right? I'm like, hey, I'm trying to think of something, like maybe catch you being selfish, like I was taking, me, I keep score of everything. Mm-hmm. So like we're taking care of the kids and I notice I've changed more diapers than you, or I've attended to them more, and you're, doing a lot of stuff on your own. And, I'm frustrated because maybe the entire Saturday I notice I'm doing so much more work with the children than you are.
Right.
And the first thing I want to do is come at you and accuse you and catch you being selfish, like, here I am to catch you being bad, right?
I snuck off and I took a nap.
You do that.
I do
That's
do
been
that.
your new thing.
It's great.
It's so
Those
frustrating.
Are the best naps.
Is we're like,
just like
instead of being like, I'm gonna go take a nap,
30 minutes later,
and then I find
I'm
you,
like, boom, in
yes,
nap.
and
It's
you're
fantastic.
napped, and I'm like, wow, I thought you were in the bathroom. Maybe you had an upset stomach. Come to find out, you've been sleeping, and I feel like I should be sleeping. So, anyways, there's, that's
I feel
my
a little
thing.
guilty, but also, man, those are great naps.
So I want to come and I want to accuse you and catch you, and there's a part of me that feels like so justified that I did more work than you,
Mm-hmm.
and that I deserve to be angry. That's my point. So then I come to you, and so that where I catch myself usually is realizing is something you used to say a long time ago, which is, I am your ally, not your enemy.
This is
And
true.
so I have to ask
I'm
myself,
your best
like,
ally.
am I being an ally to him? If I really want to see a different behavior, I'm going to get better results by bringing it to him in a way where he can understand where I'm coming from versus just trying to change behavior. And I think in marriage, that happens a lot. People want to change behavior because they think what's frustrating them is behavior only, right? But it's not. If something you do is irritating me or is making me angry or frustrating me, I have to think of it as a long game. It's not about just getting you to stop putting your socks on the floor, like how you ball them up and throw them to random parts of the room, which drives me nuts.
I don't do that.
Drives me crazy. So instead of trying to get you to stop doing that tomorrow,
Right.
one, the first thing is, it's really not that important. I can pick up your socks for the rest of my life. It's not that big of a deal. But if I really wanted to change its behavior, it's the way I approach you about it.
Yeah,
and
my
I know
approach
that.
is just to continue being in denial about it. Because my socks aren't there when I get home, so what's the big
They
deal?
disappear and they somehow get clean and end up in your drawer.
And then back in my drawer.
They're
Look at that.
magical socks.
They are magical.
No, but for me, I have to let go of a lot of the little things that I think frustrate my day, because that's not true. Most of the things that frustrate my day are the things I deal with internally. If I'm having an anxious day, because I struggle with anxiety, if I'm having a day where a topic in my life is bothering me, I will start to pick at things that you do to explain my behavior. Like, I am angry because once again I come out and you've put dishes in both sides of the sink instead of letting me one side so I can do something. That's what my brain goes to.
Right.
That was this morning. And then I realized, like, that's not why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling today. And I have to stop and I have to think about external factors. What else could be happening inside of me
Hold on.
make...
Give me 1 second. Keep talking, because I'm going to go give the kids a juice box.
What is it that's happening inside of me that is causing me to feel agitated? And that the situation with the sink or whatever my husband has done, all that is just agitating something I'm already feeling and bringing it right to the surface. So for me, it's about taking a look inside and about thinking about that and taking responsibility for what I'm feeling already and not trying to blame you, because to be honest, you create very little stress in my life if I am really honest about it. Now, I could make you create a lot more stress by blaming you for a lot more. I mean, that's totally an option of mine, but that's not the kind of marriage that I want to have. And so I take a lot of time to stop and think about maybe what's going on between Voss and I isn't what's causing it. It may be agitating it, but it's not always the cause.
Right. There's external factors a lot of times, and there's things that I'm going through. Maybe something at work, or it's something to do with my personal self. Whatever I got going on.
Right.
And I come home and I'm irritable, and it has a lot less to do with you. Maybe it has nothing to do with you, but it comes out in negative ways.
So my question should be, instead of like, why are you being so rude to me?
Right.
It should be like, hey, you don't seem like you're acting like yourself. Is everything okay?
Sometimes I don't know.
And you don't know,
a lot of times
and I have to be okay with that.
Most times I'm like, I have no idea. I just feel like I feel whatever.
You just feel off.
Yeah.
But I have to not take it personal.
Sure.
I have to realize that you feeling off.
I recognize that's not always easy. It's not a simple thing. Just to be like, well, just don't take it personal. Well, sometimes it comes across personal because I'll say something that's like unnecessary to say, or I'll be short, I'll be snippy, I'll do whatever, and it's not fun. I'm not always the best person to hang around with.
But you usually are.
Thank you.
That's very accurate. Not accurate.
You're just saying that because we're on record.
No, it's just I like you no matter what mood you're in.
Thank you.
But the thing I find really interesting is that, a situation where there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of stress. We had a rough week last week.
Yeah.
Where there's a lot going on. There's a lot of external factors that are causing both of us a lot of stress, usually around relationships, money, direction, kids, right? Those are all like those buzz topics. Yeah. Usually it's like they can go really poorly because we want to just fix everything right now.
Yeah.
But I find that you and I do best when we slow down and when we give each other room to breathe. But we talk about it. We don't just ignore it like it's not there. We say, like, we check in and say, like, hey, how are you doing? I'm not feeling great. And me, I want to solve it. So I'm like, my first reaction is like, I want to pick at you. Well, what is it? Is it because this problem at work that happened? Or maybe it's because of this? Or what have I said to you in the past? Like, tell me, I'm going to list off a bunch of topics and you tell me if you feel a twinge about the topic.
Sometimes I just randomly pick one.
You hate when I do that, but I'm like trying
going
to
down the list. I'm like, oh yeah, that one. Yeah, let's go with that one. I'm sure there's something there.
And sometimes that's good and necessary, but a lot of times I have to just let it go, and I have to realize that you're not always going to be.
Well, and
in a
you
great
and I
mood.
both process things very differently.
Yes, I want to do it today.
You have to address it. You want to talk about it.
Yes.
You want to work it out. Mm-hmm. And you're not satisfied until it's been processed vocally, like we've talked about it. You've gone through some emotion with it. Maybe you had to cry about something, or maybe you had to get angry about something. You have to actually go through the motions.
Yes.
There's plenty of times where I'm perfectly fine with, this was a sucky day. And I go to bed and I wake up the next morning and I totally forgot about it.
You have this strange reset when you sleep.
It's fantastic.
It's so annoying because I'll go to sleep. Like sometimes, the times when we fight at night.
Oh, man.
And then we go to bed because you don't want to talk about it. And I'm like, we need to talk about this now. And you're like, good luck talking to me while I'm snoring. And then you fall asleep. I go to sleep. Eventually, after stewing for like 20 minutes.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And trying to wake you up with my stewing.
Right.
And then I go to sleep.
Your glare.
And
Your
then,
death glare.
and then we get up the next morning. And you're like, good morning, darling.
And you have that
and I'm
still like the same
good morning. Like
death glare still going. Like you never went to sleep.
I've just been sitting here for 12 hours staring at you with this intent.
Sleeping for 12 hours? Man, we haven't done that in a
That's
long
a
time.
lie. It's more like 6.
Yeah.
But
let's be real.
But, I don't reset overnight. And I don't know if that's a male thing, or a personality thing, but you reset a lot of times. And I don't. And I'm ready to go like it never ended in the morning.
Right.
Now, sometimes I have a little bit more, usually by morning I have a little bit better perspective on the situation. And I'm much more willing to work with you and let it go and see the good. Oh, that's something I want to talk about.
What?
Seeing the good in the other person.
Yeah.
As a tool, because a lot of times...
For your own purpose of, like, shifting your own mind.
Yeah, your perspective on the situation.
Yeah,
like, when you're in
upset.
mid-fight
Yeah.
and you're upset, realizing that, like sometimes I'll tell myself when we're in a fight, like, I'm upset about something, and I'm realizing, wow, here I am harping about this one topic when my husband is a hard worker. He spent all day working really hard for our family. Maybe I'm upset because you didn't spend enough time with us. And I have to realize that that time away from us
really hard.
isn't an intent to not be with us.
Yeah.
But it's in an attempt to get us in a better financial position so we can spend more time together. And so we can have finances to spend those time together doing fun things.
That's the goal.
That is the goal. And you remind me of that, but I usually focus on the fact that, like, we're not doing enough things as a family.
But I would say on the flip side of that, so even though that is the goal,
yes.
right? And I'm going to say this right now, I'm probably going to regret saying this, but I do need to be reminded, because I do get into work mode and I could just work
all the time.
And it's like, hey, family's fed, they're healthy. They got to be happy because I've given them everything they need to survive and subsist. And it's like, I'm going to go back to work, and I got a goal in mind.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes really difficult for me to stop and slow down.
Yeah.
And it unfortunately sometimes it takes you being like, hey, full stop.
Yeah.
This sucks.
I need a good solid afternoon.
Right.
Or I need a whole day. Sometimes I'll say, like, I need a whole day where it's just about us and the family.
And sometimes when I'm in, midstream, I got things going on, I got a plan in place, I'm working on something. It's really difficult for me to do that. And sometimes and even though I'll stop, it's still, I'm like halfway there.
Yeah.
I'm half there, half at, my mind's still in the place thinking about what I got to do next.
Yeah.
And so that's a challenge. That's definitely a challenge.
Well, and I think with working for yourself, it never ends.
That's true.
And that's something that people don't realize. They always say, like, oh, Voss works for himself. You guys must love just getting to take off whenever you want. One, that's rare that we just take off whenever we want. And two, even when you do take off, or you go to the mountains for the day, or you go to the beach, it's always there happening in the background for you.
Sure.
Whereas me, because I am stay-at-home mom now, I brought my job with me, which are the children. And so I'm in my element 24/7. Whereas you have to put your element down.
That reminds me of something completely off topic, but vacationing with kids.
Oh my God.
Vacationing with kids is such a myth. I mean, there is no such thing as a vacation when you have kids. I feel like, especially the kids our age. I mean, we love them so much. They're so much fun to hang out with.
We get to see 3. Yeah,
we get to see them growing and becoming just these amazing little people, and they're so much fun. But at the end of the day, say we go to like a cabin. We've done this several times.
Gosh.
You go to a cabin. It's literally like you are not on vacation. You're just taking your children to a different location where they're gonna cry, they're gonna poop, they're gonna get upset, they're gonna get sick, and you get exhausted. And you're like, okay, I'm exhausted at home, or I'm exhausted at this cabin in the woods. All right, cool. It's not this like fantastic, like, oh, we're on vacation, everybody's smileys and happy. It's a challenge going on vacation with kids.
And that's
very,
that's a good point. Kids bring
strategic about it.
They bring in a lot of alternative stress in a marriage.
Yeah.
And communication, because how many times are we trying to have a conversation and then a kid is crying and then the other one is screaming, and we don't get to finish our really important talk because now we have to split up and each take care of a child.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of times where there's not a lot of room to talk. That's a big factor for us, because sometimes we don't get to have like a really good in-depth conversation until both are asleep, which, like, good luck by 9. Like, they're both asleep, and then we're tired, and neither of us have the energy.
Don't want to talk about that stuff anymore.
Because we just want to turn off a little bit, and we want to ignore. And I think
that's our day-to-day thing. I mean, that's usually coming home and feeding everybody and taking care of everything and trying to have some family time. And it's like, okay, it's time to go to sleep, and shoot, by 9 o'clock, 9:30, sometimes as late as 10, when McCoy just will not fall asleep. It's like, okay, now I don't want to do anything else but just shut down and veg.
Right.
And I mean, who can blame us? It's like you want to do these 8 other great activities, but really at the end of the day, it's like, you're tired, you're exhausted. I'm tired, I'm exhausted. Let's just relax. So
sometimes though, I need to talk. And so what do I usually say? Like, I need 10 minutes. Can you give me 10 minutes?
Which helps, actually.
It does.
You started doing that more recently, because in the past you were like, let's have a talk. In my mind, I was like,
just bug you.
It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm exhausted. She wants to unpackage something. It's going to take 6 hours. I'm not sleeping at all today. And I'm like, no, ain't going to happen. Shut the sucker down before it even starts. And that makes you upset. And then inevitably we still end up doing a talk. And then
a talk is bad because I'm angry.
Right. Then
it's
I'm talking
bad
angrily.
Talk. Yeah.
That's always fun.
I'm so organized.
I'm
so organized when I'm angry.
And you have very good recollection.
Oh my gosh, it's like clarity. I have no memory during the day. But if I'm upset, it's like it all comes. I should just be mad all the time. I will never forget to do anything.
Please don't.
Just
sounds like a horrible life. for you and for everybody around you.
Okay, let's talk. Okay, we already kind of divulged into confrontation.
Okay. I want to unpack that a little more, though. If we can.
Okay, go ahead.
So in confrontation, you
Yes.
touched on it earlier. I think a lot of times I've seen this in other people, even ourselves. It's like there's this desire to just push things under the rug.
Okay.
And it's really, it's very tempting. It's very tempting sometimes just to keep pushing things under the rug and be like, hey, you know what? It's all going to work out and it's going to be okay. And you start seeing certain behaviors like, oh, see, they're doing better, right? And you start making up a story in your mind about how much better they are because you're seeing these behaviors and not ever actually addressing whatever it might be.
Right.
And it's really difficult to bring things up about yourself.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I got this going on. This is where I'm at. It's so hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard to bring those things up, especially when you know those things are going to hurt the other person or they're going to make them upset. Like, I don't want to talk about it. And on the other side, I think the other person needs to assert themselves and saying, like, hey, I need you to talk to me about this.
Yeah.
And don't beat around the bush, because it's so easy to just keep pushing things away, pushing them under the rug. And then you get to this point where, like, it's been months and maybe even a year, and you're just like, you don't even know where the other person's at anymore, and you don't know how much it affects them. And the other thing too is it causes a breach.
Yeah.
And so you and I, we've struggled back and forth on different things. It's like, making sure that we're addressing those topics and continue to revisit them, and it's so important because the last thing we want to do is to get 10 years into our marriage and realize there's been something that we should have talked about 5 years ago and we never did.
Yeah. Do you remember no taboo topics? Which means there is no topic that we're not allowed to talk about. Now,
that's still
the person,
very difficult.
For you, it is. I'm an open book.
Yeah,
but there is the option to say, like, I'm not ready to talk about
Sure.
that.
Yeah.
But there's no, like...
It's never going to be talked
It's
about.
never going to be talked about. That is a no touch. And if you even bring it up, I'm going to immediately explode on you.
Or shut down.
Yeah,
I think that's a really good point. Having the freedom to push it to another time, that's fine. But I think it's really important, and I would hope that we continue to go down this path where we continue to allow each other to express and to bring things up and to process things. And I know it's not easy. I mean, I hear it all the time from people. It's like, well, I don't talk to my wife about that. It's like, well, if you don't talk to her about it, who do you talk to about it?
Right.
And will she ever know about that? It's like, you have to talk to your wife about that. Your wife does have to talk to her husband about that. I think it's really important. Again, I don't always do a great job of that at all. Yeah. But it's a desire and it's an intent. And I would hope that we can continue to improve in that area, because by doing that, we are creating a relationship that is bonded, strengthened through the challenges of life. We create this story with each other about all the things that we've built our relationship on.
Yeah.
Because the platitudes, the nice things, those things it's fun in the moment. It's fun to laugh. It's fun to have a great time. It's fun to play games. It's fun to do all those things. But those things have to be done in the appropriate place, right?
Yeah. Those usually don't happen day to day. Those are usually high points.
And that's exactly high points. And how much more substantive are they when they're a high point coupled with a really low point?
Yeah.
When you go through something really hard and there's a lot of pain and there's a lot of struggle there, when you get to the other side and you have this moment of joy, it's like that joy is so much more real than if you were just laughing the entire time.
Right. If you've never really trusted each other to walk through, which, if you think about, a lot of that's truth telling. Because I know there are so many times when I'm in a mood and you say, like, hey, what's wrong? And I just feel this option inside of me to say, like, you could just say nothing. You could just keep it all inside. You could stew. You could package it up and pretend like it doesn't bother you.
Right.
And keep your husband in the dark. But you know me, that doesn't usually happen. I'm not very good at that. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm saying that when I invite you into my problem and I explain it to you, and I say, like, actually, this is what's happening with me. Something I picked up years ago that I think works really well is, instead of trying to figure it out in the moment, is to just say, like, I am feeling really angry today, and my brain is telling me that it's you and it's something that you did wrong, but I actually don't know what it is, and I would actually really like if you could help me.
Right.
Because like normally if I just go with my brain, then what I'm thinking is, yeah, it's him. He did it. You woke up feeling sad and look at this guy. Look at him doing this. It's him. It's his fault. But if I slow down and I invite you in with me and I just express that I'm unsure of the origin of my feelings, one, you're a terrific person to help me walk through that, because you
Not
usually
always.
you underestimate yourself. You're usually really good at
There's a lot of times
helping
I'm like,
me.
I really don't want to deal with this anymore. I got places to be, things to do.
Well, you don't usually say that in the moment. That's
No,
But you are.
but
You're
I'm-
helpful. You're very helpful.
I try.
You do. And you usually help me.
I'm glad that's how you see me. That's
I
good.
do. And you usually help me walk through it. You might not have the answer, but at least at that stage, I'm at a place now where you know what's going on. I know what's going on with me. We both, we don't know the answer, but at
Right.
least we both know that any behavior that seems out of the ordinary, we don't have to pick at. It is just what it is. And it actually helps me calm down a lot. Like if I admit I'm feeling anxious or depressed, it helps me not to act that way, because I kind of dispel what's happening right in front of us.
Sure, yeah.
And then I don't isolate, during the process. So, yeah.
I think moving forward, I'm just excited to see what else we come up with. And I know there's a lot of challenges still ahead of us.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things that you and I still have to work out about each other.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we need to improve upon. Again, a lot of this is theory, what we've been talking about. A lot of this has been things that we have practiced and we've seen good results. But there's plenty of times where it's been like, we fall into old habits. And
Yeah.
there's times when we're like, I don't want to do that thing, even though I know it's going to work.
Yeah.
We just get stubborn. We just get stupid sometimes. And I don't know why.
That's true.
I mostly talked about myself. So I'm excited to see where life continues to lead us. I'm kind of weird. I like challenges. I like really hard times. In that way, to me, the hardest things in life usually bring about the best things in life. And
that's true.
I say that now, I'm probably jinxing myself. But
We don't believe in jinxing.
we don't believe in jinxing. So I
But it
guess
feels like it's going to happen.
No, but again, I'm excited to see where it leads us. What we have in store for our lives.
Okay, so one last question.
Okay.
And I think you came up with this question. Where can we still improve?
Everything.
No, you have
Okay,
to be
specifics.
specific. You don't get to blanket that one.
Oh darn.
You have to. Okay, I'm going to challenge you
Okay, go ahead.
to actually name 2 specific things that you need to work on in kindness in our marriage, and then I'll go too.
Okay. I'm really bad at specifics for some
I know,
reason.
we talked
I
about
can do
this.
generalizations
Before
really well.
the episode, we talked about how Voss doesn't do specifics. This is why it's a challenge. Do you want me to
I
go
have
first?
a really hard time recollecting like specific moments.
Okay.
I have I can remember like, oh yeah, this kind of thing happens. That sucked. Got to change that. But going back to a very specific moment, it'll come to me maybe. I don't know. Go ahead. Why don't
Okay,
you
I'll go first.
Yeah.
Okay, so something I've really worked on is realizing that you're not the enemy.
I'm
That
not your enemy.
that you're the ally.
Right.
And when
I
we're
like you.
that you like me.
You like me too.
And I like you too. And that when we're in a fight,
Right.
that always seems to be forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And that one of my things is like realizing that I don't have to solve everything today. That we have our entire marriage to work things out, because I tend to do this like evaluation checklist in my mind, like, okay, how's our communication? Check. How's our, like feeling emotionally connected? Oh, that's not doing so well. Oh, that's not a check. Okay, I need to fix that tomorrow. And then how's our time together? Oh, I do this checklist, and then I try to evaluate my happiness in that checklist. And I have to realize that like my happiness is separate from
Right.
how you and I are. And that you are an influencer of how I'm doing, but you're not the source. And I think for women, a lot of times we put so much stake, because we're so relational. We put so much stake in our marriage and let it dictate who we are and what we're feeling every day.
Right.
And try to determine how we should feel about our life based on our marriage. And that's just, if we do that, it's going to be a roller coaster, because it is a relationship that is meant to ebb and flow. It's meant to go up and go down, and it's meant to grow us. And so I have to be kind of like independently find my joy in the Lord and in my relationship with him, independent of how you and I are doing.
Yeah.
And same with the children. But for this episode, between you and I.
Right. Children. Such a fun topic. I don't know if this directly applies to kindness in marriage, but I'm just thinking about something specific. And for me, it's trust. Just learning to continue to trust you wholeheartedly. I think there's so many times when I don't want to breach a topic because I realize I don't fully trust you yet in that area. Not just trust you in the sense of like, I don't trust that you'll be confidential with my information, or it's more about trusting the person's reaction.
Yeah.
And trusting that they're going to take care of you, even when you tell them something that's could be hurtful to them, or could bother them, or it could, it realizing that you can trust each other.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a really deep one.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, it only comes. Well, at least I should say, with us, what I've noticed is that area only improves with time, because it takes experiences. It takes going through something and realizing, okay, that person reacted this way. Oh, I can actually trust them.
Right.
And so I think that
which is hard. Yeah, which is hard because like if you told me something that was wrong with me, it would crush me. Whereas like if I say something wrong with you, you're like, okay, I can work on that. Like it doesn't bother you at all. But I know as a woman in particularly, being pointed out a fault, I'm going to be super proactive, but I'm also going to take it really hard. And so you have to be so gentle with me, and you know that. But I also have to learn how to realize again that if you point out one tiny flaw in me, it doesn't mean that you are completely unhappy with who I am.
Right.
And that's what I do. I think other women can relate. But that's if your man says something about something, it's a blanket effect.
And I think that my role in that, going to kindness, I think I do need to be very diplomatic about how I say things, and I try to do that, and I think it's important because I don't want to. If I know something that's very sensitive for you, I don't want to just throw it out there.
Right.
You do have to be diplomatic and strategic about how you approach a certain subjects, because we want the best version of the other person. You want the best outcome. At least I do. I want the best version of you. I want the best version of myself.
Yeah.
Right? That sounds like a great life to live.
Right.
So.
Okay, so we usually end every episode with a challenge.
Okay.
I haven't really come up with one.
A challenge for each other, or what?
No, a challenge for the listeners.
Oh, okay.
So we challenge them to something. So I'll say a good challenge would be, after listening to today, don't try to change your partner, because that never works. But challenge yourself to...
I'm just smiling because you've tried changing some things about me.
Stop. This is the worst time for you to bring that up. I'm just kidding.
There's so many things that haven't changed.
I know. I'm not that far either. That's the saddest part. No, but changing something, try to change something about yourself. So anything that you related to today, you said, oh my gosh, I do that so much. Pick one thing. Don't try to pick 20 things, because we went over a lot of content. Don't try to pick a lot of things. Pick one thing and really work on it, and communicate that with your partner. And sometimes I'll tell Voss, I'll kind of tattle on myself, because that's something I do. Like, I am not good at, like, the whole ally thing. I think I told you that. Like, I'm not good at seeing you as my ally, and I'm working on, when we're in a fight, thinking of you as somebody who actually cares about me,
right,
and wants me to improve and wants the best for me. And I do that kind of out loud because it helps keep me accountable to my actions. So do that. Go and challenge yourself. Do you have any challenges that you want to throw out there?
Well, I would say so if we're talking specifically about couples, I want to challenge the guys. The guys, I would say, hey, really show your love for your wife. Mm-hmm. And I would say that a big part of that is servitude. Just show up and serve. And don't think about yourself, but show up and serve. I know for myself, is the times when I've done that the best, it's amazing how well you have responded to that.
Yeah.
And how much it makes our relationship work so much. It just needs to work so much better.
Yeah.
When I show up and I just serve, I just want to give you the best. It's amazing how you reciprocate all these great things for me then.
Yeah.
And I think just show up and serve. And that goes with being kind. Being kind again, you're intending for the other person to have a great result.
Yeah.
So this has gone on for more than 30 minutes. You told me this was only a 30-minute episode.
It's not. I lied.
Okay. Hey, guys. Thank you so much for listening to us. Thank you for tolerating me on this show.
You did fantastic.
Thank you, babe.
You don't even know.
Okay. Well, it was fun. Thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week on 30, Wordy, and Friendship.